Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's training. I'm about to show you how to reignite your metabolic health naturally without dieting and without having to give up any of the food that you love by teaching you how to become metabolically flexible. Now, I am your host, Jenna, and I am so excited to have you here. I'm guessing that for many of you watching this is not your first nutrition webinar. And the first thing that I want to mention is that if you've ever tried different diets or nutrition fads in the past, and maybe you didn't see results, or maybe the results that you did see weren't sustainable, it is not your fault. And if you've ever thought to yourself in the past that I just can't stick to nutrition changes, I want to put those fears to rest because you can do this. You just need the right person to explain it to you. The whole concept of dieting and nutrition fads are actually completely flawed and don't set us up to be successful. In fact, so many companies actually profit from their diet programs and products not being sustainable so that we keep coming back again and again and again. And now the difference with my method is that I truly care about your success and I want to give you all the tools you need to get back to feeling your best in a way that lasts you for the rest of your life. And that is exactly what we're going to do here today. Now, I know that you have a big purpose in this world, and the better you feel both physically and mentally, the bigger your impact. And I'm going to show you how you can get back to feeling your best during this webinar. So are you ready to get started? The next 40 minutes or so are going to be completely jam-packed, so I hope you can find a quiet spot to get comfy, get cozy, maybe grab a tea and a blanket, or maybe light your favorite candle and really get ready to learn. I want you to look at the next 40 minutes as an investment into your health because what you are about to learn has the potential to change your life by changing the way you feel. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. But right before we dive in, I just need to go over a quick disclaimer. So the information contained in this webinar is not meant to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any specific conditions, and it's not meant as medical advice, but rather a sharing of knowledge and information. Okay, now let's have some fun. So you might be wondering right now, is this training really for me? And if you're sitting there thinking, I'm not sure if I'm someone who would actually benefit from this, let me just ease your mind really quick. My goal for this webinar is to help you improve your metabolic health. So I'm going to do that in two ways. Number one, I'm going to show you that the key to feeling your best is actually through becoming metabolically flexible. And number two, I'm going to teach you my method to achieve metabolic flexibility. Now, I also want you to know that you are in the right place if you're feeling exhausted, or if you have ongoing fatigue, or if you have these highs and lows in your energy levels throughout the day, and you're just tired of being tired. You're also in the right place if you've experienced any sort of digestive issues like bloating or discomfort and you want to figure out how you can ditch the bloat for good. Or maybe you have an irregular or painful period and you want to find out how can nutrition help optimize your menstrual cycle. Or maybe you're not sleeping well and you're having trouble either falling asleep or staying asleep. You are also in the right place if you've experienced or maybe currently experiencing any sort of weight loss resistance and you don't know what else to do. Or if you've experienced hair loss and thinning, or thyroid or adrenal imbalances, or a low libido, you are in the right place. You're also in the right place if you've experienced brain fog or trouble concentrating, or if you have any sort of hormonal imbalances like PCOS and you've never known what a huge impact nutrition can have on that delicate balance of hormones. Or maybe you're frequently sick or you've got a poor immune system and you're trying to figure out how you can optimize all of your defenses so that you can stay healthy and well for yourself and your family. Or the thing that nobody likes to talk about but is so important, maybe you've experienced constipation or irregular bowel movements and nobody feels good when they're not going number 2, trust me. So you are also in the right place. Can you relate to any of those? If you're sitting there shaking your head yes to some of these are actually all signs and symptoms that your metabolism and your overall metabolic health could use a boost because everything in the body is connected. And becoming metabolically flexible is the best way to get there. But you are also in the right place if you just have no idea what to eat to support your metabolism or your metabolic health. Or maybe you have no idea where or how to start changing your nutrition. Or when should you be eating? Now, most of us just have no idea where to begin. Maybe you've tried diets and other health and nutrition programs or fads in the past and they just haven't worked for you. Maybe you're tired of restricting. Nobody likes the stress of having to cut out entire food groups and white knuckle it when your favorite food is in the room with you and you're trying so hard not to cave in and have some. That is no way to live. And now I'm guessing that you're ready to learn how to optimize your metabolism without having to give up the food that you love. Doesn't that sound great? Which has maybe led you to finding mainstream nutrition information so overwhelming and confusing because everything is contradicting one another. Like 1 minute, coconut oil is known as a superfood. And the next minute, there's a news headline that says it's not good for your health. So how are you supposed to know what to eat? Coconut oil is good for you, side note. Or maybe you're just curious. Maybe you don't actually have any specific health issues or specific health goals, but you can always learn some new tips and tricks to really improve or level up your nutrition and the way that you feel. Do any of those sound familiar? If you're nodding your head along, you are in the right place. Now, before I get into the training, I just have to tell you a little bit about my own story, just in case you're new to this community. Hello, I am Jenna. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist and also a wellness enthusiast. My zodiac sign is a Cancer, and I know for the horoscope lovers out there that basically tells you everything you need to know about me. But the gist is that I feel things deeply. I'm a dog lover. I'm a self-proclaimed introvert and homebody. And my mission in life is to help women feel good, because when women feel good, we can do anything. We are unstoppable, and nothing in this world lights me up like helping women get back to feeling their best so that they can go out into this world and do their thing. Now, like many nutritionists, I actually became interested in nutrition through my decades-long struggles with my own health issues. Now, for as long as I can remember, I have always wanted to be a mom, and that's me holding a baby when I myself was still basically a baby. And then when I was only 14 years old, I was actually diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, so PCOS, which is a fancy way of saying that my body was producing too much of certain hormones and not enough of other hormones. And I was put on birth control right away and was told that I would have a lot of trouble having children and conceiving in the future if I ever wanted to. Now, I was really upset about this diagnosis at the time, but at this point in my life, getting pregnant someday in the future wasn't something I was focused on because I was only 14 years old. So I stayed on the pill for years. I never addressed my metabolic health or the root cause of my hormonal imbalance in the first place. And now, metabolically speaking, there were definitely imbalances in my body that laid the groundwork for a hormonal imbalance like PCOS to take place. And being on birth control was actually kind of like putting a Band-Aid on top of my PCOS, with the idea that when it was time for me to want children in the future and start conceiving, I would most likely just need to go through some medical interventions. Now, quick side note about that, technology is incredible, and the technology available in the fertility and reproductive sphere is so beneficial, and it's getting better and better every single year. But I knew deep down that there had to be something I could do naturally to address whatever imbalances were happening in my body. I had years to figure it out, and I needed to find the root cause of my PCOS, because if I could figure out where these imbalances were actually stemming from, maybe I could help reverse it, and maybe I could do little things in my life to help improve my fertility chances later. Now, here's the thing. I was eating what everyone else ate. Maybe some oatmeal or cereal for breakfast, a sandwich for lunch, a hamburger, a pasta for dinner. My eating patterns didn't look different to anyone else around me, but it took me years to learn that this way of eating was actually keeping me metabolically inflexible. It was giving me high blood sugar and high insulin levels, and that was the number one root cause of PCOS. I just didn't know it at the time. But because it took me so long to learn it, my health actually got worse. My skin got worse. I had really bad acne. My energy levels were tanked, and my hormonal imbalances got worse as well. Now, fast forward to my early 20s, and I met my now fiance, Johnny. We talked about how we wanted children one day in the future, and that brought up my biggest fear. What if I can't have children? Or what if I can have children, but the imbalances in my body get worse and my health declines even more? Or what if I have a daughter? How can I prevent these same hormonal imbalances from happening to her? I was so determined to learn anything and everything I possibly could around health and nutrition, and I knew that this journey could take years, so I made it my absolute mission to improve my metabolic health through food and reverse my PCOS symptoms. So what I did is I trialed and errored everything. I trialed and errored my way through countless trends and diets, but I never had very much success. So I actually went back to school and started studying to become a holistic nutritionist for the sole purpose of using myself to experiment with anything and everything to improve my health through food. I studied so many popular diets and tools and trends like intermittent fasting and the ketogenic diet. And what I learned was that these are actually both geared towards manipulating where the body draws fuel from. So particularly getting the body into a state of fat burning. And this seemed to be where a lot of people were having success. But when I tried it myself, they actually both made my hormonal imbalances worse. So both the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting. And I'll tell you why in a few minutes. But I knew that there was something special about their key focus here, which was improving metabolic health. So what I did was I actually set out to create my own method that followed a similar purpose to get the body into a state of metabolic flexibility, but this time in a non-restrictive way that was also easy to implement. Now, fast forward to present day, and I no longer experience PCOS symptoms. I ovulate naturally and regularly, and I've restored my regular menstrual cycle as well. And I know that my body is ready to have children when the time is right. And I did this through becoming metabolically flexible. Now, I know that you may not necessarily have PCOS, and you may not necessarily have any hormonal imbalances for that matter, and that's okay. But becoming metabolically flexible will still improve your metabolic health wherever you're starting from. And if you've been struggling to get your health on track through diets or nutrition fads that haven't been sustainable, you need to switch from these traditional methods to instead becoming metabolically flexible, because this way of eating doesn't just support your body hormonally, it actually improves your immune system, and it optimizes your digestive system, and it regulates your blood sugar and your insulin levels, and it gives you sustained energy all day long, and so much more. Isn't that exciting? So I have spent my life learning the roadmap to make this happen, and now I'm here to give you the roadmap to feeling great and reigniting your metabolic health as well. Because this didn't just work for me, this has worked for all kinds of people. Now, here's what my past client, Brianna, had to say about this process. I am shocked at how easy it felt to implement these changes and how different I feel in such a short period of time. Suffice to say, I do not have any plans to go back to my old lifestyle. Thank you for forever changing the way I think about food and wellness. So here's what you're about to learn. You will learn why your body and your metabolism thrive in a metabolically flexible state. And I'm going to tell you how this is going to work for you. Next, you'll learn how to become metabolically flexible. So my own method and how you can make this a sustainable fit into your own individual lifestyle. And then finally, you'll learn how to eat the food that you love and still support your metabolic health, because we are saying goodbye to diets and restrictions. But before I tell you how you can become metabolically flexible, you need to know, what exactly does it mean to become metabolically flexible? So it's kind of like a Toyota Prius that has two different fuel sources. So a Prius can either run on gas or electricity, and your body has the same sort of options. So your body can create energy from burning glucose, which is blood sugar, which is kind of like the gas tank in a Prius, or your body can burn fat cells, which is like the electricity source in a Prius. Now, most people, because of our modern day eating patterns, we just keep filling up our gas tanks with glucose, which means that our bodies actually never need to tap into our backup fuel source of having fat cells there to burn for fuel. So this is kind of like if the Prius never switched over to using electricity. It only used gas because the gas tank was always full and it was always readily available. We want your body to be able to do both. We want you to burn both glucose and fat cells instead of just one. So metabolic flexibility means that your body has the ability to go back and forth between burning glucose for fuel and then burning fat cells as fuel. This is the human body's most natural state, being able to use whatever fuel source is available to it at the time. Now, the problem is our modern day eating habits have actually prevented so many of us from ever being able to tap into our fat source to use as a fuel source. This means that we actually end up being sugar burners for the majority of our time. And in order for your body to actually become metabolically flexible, to switch from burning glucose to instead burning fat cells as fuel, all we need to do is just make a few simple habit changes and around what we're eating at certain meals of the day. So what's actually the problem with being a sugar burner most of the time and never tapping into using your stored fuel sources like fat cells? Well, this is what we call metabolic inflexibility. So what this means is that your body is not necessarily using energy efficiently, and it's actually more likely to store some of the fuel that's coming in through food without being able to then turn around and burn that stored fuel. Now, long term, what happens is this actually creates the groundwork for things like insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure and high cholesterol and obesity and even hormonal imbalances and so many other metabolic disorders, not to mention other things like a poorer immune system and poor digestive health and these energy highs and lows and these big crashes and honestly just feeling generally unwell. And here's something that I learned on my journey too. Most women with PCOS and some other hormonal imbalances are actually metabolically inflexible. This is why getting your body into a state of metabolic flexibility is key. Now, when I first learned about metabolic flexibility, there were only two mainstream ways to get your body into this state of being able to burn fat cells as fuel and glucose as fuel. So intermittent fasting and the ketogenic diet. And now during my own trials and errors of healing my PCOS, I tried both of these, and here's what I learned. Intermittent fasting is not for everyone. It does work really well for some people, so that's mostly men and mostly postmenopausal women, but not necessarily women with a menstrual cycle, because this particular group has actually been left out of the studies done on intermittent fasting. Now, I tried intermittent fasting for months, and I would fast for 16 hours a day, and then I would have an 8-hour eating window. And it actually made my hormonal imbalances worse. And now this is my own experience. I'm not speaking for anyone else. But in order to have balanced hormones and to ovulate each month, women need to create trust in their body. And going these really long periods of time without eating can actually do the opposite of creating trust in the body and increase our cortisol levels and other stress-related hormones. So personally, when I tried it, intermittent fasting actually increased my cortisol levels, it increased my blood sugar levels, and my metabolism took a huge hit. It was also pretty restrictive, where I actually started turning down invites to go out for breakfast because my eating window didn't start until noon, and that was no way to live. So the next popular method for me to try to become metabolically flexible then was the ketogenic diet. And I just want to say, again, that I don't promote dieting at all. I'm actually anti-diet culture, but I did try lots of different diets and fads on my journey to get to this place, and I'm just sharing with you my own experiences. Now, keto is where you eat lots of fats, you eat a moderate amount of protein, and you're very restricted to the amount of carbohydrates you can eat. So here's what I learned. First of all, doing a strict keto diet does not make you metabolically flexible. I didn't know that before I started. Now, the key word here is flexible, because we want your body to switch back and forth between burning glucose and burning fat as fuel. But the ketogenic diet, if it's done right and strictly, it actually gets the body into a state of ketosis, which is where you're only using fat as fuel. So there are basically little to no carbohydrates coming in, which means your body never switches back over to burning glucose. It just stays in this fat burning mode until you eat something that would technically be considered off plan. Now, here's the thing that so many people don't know. Getting your body into a state of ketosis, where it's only burning fat for fuel, it's actually a last-ditch survival mechanism for your body. It's not a lifestyle, because ketosis is essentially a way that your body is safeguarding itself against starvation. So it's kind of like having a spare tire for your car. You can drive on that spare tire for a little while, but not long term. It's the same with ketosis. It can work really well for short periods of time, but it's not optimal for long-term use because your body needs some carbohydrates. Now, the problem with keto when I personally tried it was that it wasn't sustainable, because who wants to avoid carbs for the rest of their life? That's no fun. And it was also really restrictive to the point where even having too much broccoli on your plate could take you out of ketosis. And again, it didn't help my hormones. We need carbohydrates for optimal hormonal balance. So I was tired all the time, and I just knew that there had to be another way, something that didn't take away any of the food that I loved. So what I did was develop my own method to become metabolically flexible in a way that focused on adding nourishing food to my plate, not restricting anything. And this method actually gives you some light structure in your day-to-day life. And it's a method that can fit any lifestyle and will level up your metabolic health regardless of where you're starting from. This is for everyone. My method actually gets your body into this state of metabolic flexibility by burning fat as fuel for the first half of the day. And then we switch over to burning glucose as fuel for the second half of the day, but without skipping breakfast and without having to give up carbohydrates. But before I tell you how to make that happen, you need to know what's happening in your body to prevent you from becoming metabolically flexible. So back in our hunter-gatherer ancestor days, every single person was metabolically flexible, and their body was able to use whatever fuel source was available to create energy. So why is so much of our modern day population metabolically inflexible? Well, it all comes down to the modern food we're eating and our insulin levels. Now, when we eat any sort of carbohydrate or starch or sugar, this actually increases our blood sugar levels, so our glucose, and it sparks insulin to be released from the pancreas to come into the bloodstream and clean up the blood sugar. So the key role of insulin is actually to put that blood sugar into the cells to clean up after it. It's known as the storage hormone, but as long as there's high insulin levels in your bloodstream, the body cannot tap into burning fat for fuel. Now, I don't believe in demonizing any food, but it is no secret that our population is eating a lot more sugar and a lot more processed carbohydrates and a lot more packaged and fast food than we ever have before. And now I truly believe everything's 80-20, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But if we're eating these types of food for breakfast and lunch and dinner and every single snack in between, our insulin levels could actually be high upwards of 20 out of 24 hours per day or more. And what that means is that our body almost never gets the chance to tap into fat burning. So the secret to becoming metabolically flexible here is actually in managing your blood sugar and your insulin levels. Now, here is how you become metabolically flexible. This is my method that I've been working on for years. Are you ready? I want you to focus on eating a breakfast that includes at least one source of protein, fiber, and fat, and it's low in carbohydrates. And then I want you to push your carbohydrate and starch intake to the second half of the day, so lunch and dinner. Now, there's a lot more science that goes into this, but for time's sake, the cold notes version for this webinar is that about 6 to 8 hours after your last meal of your day that contained any sort of carbohydrate or sugar or starch, your insulin levels will be low enough that your body can metabolically switch over to burning fat as fuel. Now, this will happen sometime in the middle of the night, most likely. Now, as long as you have a breakfast with protein, fiber, and fat that's actually low in carbohydrates, your body will continue to burn fat for fuel for that first half of the day. So the entire first half of the day, your body is using fat as its primary fuel source. Now, come lunchtime, we actually introduce a source of a complex carbohydrate. So now your blood sugar is still balanced because we're still eating protein, fiber, and fat. We've just added a carbohydrate. So you're still feeling really good. Your body's just metabolically switched over now to burning glucose as its primary fuel source. So again, let's include a portion of a complex carbohydrate for dinner, and now you've been burning glucose for the whole second half of the day. So in the early hours of the morning, you're able to then switch back over to burning fat cells as fuel, and this is exactly how it works. So roughly the first half of the day, the first 12 hours of the day, you're going to be burning fat as fuel, and then at lunchtime, in the second 12 hours of the day, we're going to switch over to burning glucose as fuel. This is metabolic flexibility. This is your body's ability to go back and forth and burn whatever fuel source is available to it. Isn't that cool? And it truly is that simple. So what are the benefits of all of this? Well, your body and mind as a whole benefit greatly from being metabolically flexible. First of all, you're starting your day with balanced blood sugar, meaning that you're not having spikes and crashes in energy. You're feeling calm, cool, collected. You've got stable energy. You're coasting. And the benefit of no blood sugar crashes also means that you don't have cravings. So you make choices on what to eat with your brain instead of your hunger hormones. So no crashes also means that you're lowering your body's stress levels. You're improving your mental clarity. You have no more brain fog. You also have improved insulin sensitivity, which means that you're warding off metabolic diseases like type 2 diabetes. You've also restored your body's ability to burn fat, which so many of us are unable to do with our current way of eating. And if fat loss is a goal of yours, this is actually going to happen as a result of becoming metabolically flexible. Now, remember that insulin is a hormone, and if it's high for too long of periods of time, it can actually throw off all of your other hormones. So the key to hormonal balance here also lies in metabolic flexibility. Now, here's what some of my past clients have said after learning how to become metabolically flexible. I'm now equipped with not only more knowledge and understanding on the role food plays in my daily life, but I can finally live a busy and fully healthy lifestyle. I never thought that was possible. And Erin said, I found the tools I needed to feel like I was actually living my life and not just dragging myself through the day. I definitely found bliss. Can you see yourself feeling like this too? Now, I promised you that I would teach you how you can still eat all the food that you love and support your metabolic health. So here is how. If you can prioritize eating whole food sources, so I'm talking about food with only one ingredient, so things like broccoli, olives, avocados, chicken, you get the point. If you can eat whole food sources of proteins, fibers, and fats 80% of the time, then the other 20%, I want you to have fun with it. So this is my 80-20 rule. Now, the 80-20 rule goes day by day, but I want to give you an example so you can understand just how big this is when I say that this is a non-restrictive way of eating. So if you break that 80-20 rule down into a year-long period and you think about eating whole foods 80% of the time and then eating what you want the other 20% of the time, that 20%, when you actually add it all together, adds up to 73 days of the year of eating what you want, which is about 2.5 months, where you can essentially have what you want and still reach your health goals and improve your metabolic health. Now, don't get carried away here, because of course we're not going 2.5 months in this free-for-all state. What we're actually doing is we're mixing that 20% in each day and week throughout the course of a year. But the idea is that you're actually giving your body the nutrient-dense food that your metabolism needs to thrive first, so your whole foods of protein, fibers, and fats, and then we have what we want. But there's one other key thing here that's arguably the most important part, and that is timing. Timing is everything. And the whole purpose here is to support your metabolism and your metabolic health. And in order to do that, we have to be conscious of your blood sugar and your insulin levels. So here's another example. Let's say that you feel like having cookies. Awesome. Cookies are delicious, and they fall into the 20%. And I also believe in no restriction. So let's have those cookies. But the timing of those cookies is everything. So instead of having those cookies on an empty stomach and sending your blood sugar and your insulin soaring up that blood sugar roller coaster, let's instead make sure that we're slowing down that blood sugar response by having those cookies after we have a meal with protein, fiber, and fat. So again, this slows down your blood sugar response, slows down your insulin response, meaning that you'll have stable energy. You're not going to have those spikes and crashes. Your body will actually pump out less insulin, meaning it'll be able to metabolically switch over to burning fat for fuel sooner, which is a win-win for your metabolic health. Now, because you've also just had a whole meal, you filled up on high quality protein, you stretched your stomach with fiber and vegetables, and you turned off your hunger hormones with a fat source. You still want those cookies for dessert, and that's great. Let's eat those cookies. But we're probably only having a couple of cookies because we just had a protein, fiber, and fat meal first, which is going to be far less than what would have happened if you started with those cookies before you had a nourishing meal. I know personally I could eat an entire package of cookies if I had that before a protein, fiber, and fat meal. But if I have the cookies afterwards, I'm probably only having maybe 2 or 3. So this is how you do it. There are no restrictions, but the timing of when you eat the food that falls into that 20% category is everything. And this is how you support your metabolism and have what you want. Now, here are the main takeaways that I want you to get from this and really implement so that you can get your health and nutrition into the best state possible this year. So start by eating a breakfast with protein, fiber, and fat every single day. Push your starches and carbohydrates until lunch and dinner so that we can support metabolic flexibility, and prioritize whole food sources at least 80% of the time so that we can then pair your carbohydrates, starches, and sugars with a protein, fiber, and fat source. Now, what we've just done is shown you how to become metabolically flexible and really reignite your metabolic health so that you can get back to feeling your best. So let me ask you a question. If you followed what I showed you and you got your body into this state of metabolic flexibility where you're burning fat as fuel for the first half of the day and then switching over to glucose as fuel for the second half of the day, and you didn't have to restrict or cut out any of your favorite foods, do you think you could be successful? Now, right now, I think you're probably either feeling really excited about what we just talked about, or maybe you're feeling a little overwhelmed because we just covered so much. And it's impossible for me to show you everything you need to know about metabolic flexibility to really understand it and get results within a 40-minute webinar, but I tried to cover as much as possible. So for those of you that want to implement this new opportunity, I actually created a special offer to help you become metabolically flexible and get back to feeling your best. I created the Naked Nourishment course where you get instant access to my step-by-step method to get your body into a state of metabolic flexibility. Now, this course teaches women who are trying to improve their metabolic health how to stop dieting and instead start focusing on metabolic flexibility, which is truly what makes the biggest difference. It's a completely self-paced course that has 10 modules of content that were all designed to be completed 1 module per week. So here's what we cover in the course. Week 1, we talk about how you can actually measure your metabolic health to make sure that you're making progress throughout the course. Week 2, we go over everything you need to know about your metabolism, where you'll learn what's actually going on in your body. Week 3, we dive into how to become metabolically flexible so that by week 4, you are ready to learn step by step what food to put on your plate. Week 5, we look at protein to make sure that your body is getting enough, but we also know that your metabolic health is affected by so much more than just food. So in week 6, we actually talk about supporting your adrenals by making your body more resilient to stress. Week 7, we work on improving the quality of your sleep and getting your circadian rhythm back on track. Week 8, we cover what's happening with your liver, which actually holds the key to your metabolism. Week 9, we talk about how to move and exercise in a way that really helps you metabolically and how to fuel your body for exercise as well. And then finally in week 10, we actually wrap it all up by making all the habits that you learned throughout the course a sustainable part of your new life. It is jam-packed, and each module has a corresponding nutrition habit for you to implement and really master before you move on to the next module, so that by the end of the course, you have tons of new nutrition habits that you've already implemented in your life in a sustainable way. Now, let me show you a few people who've had a chance to actually learn how to become metabolically flexible and experience this program. Let me introduce you to Shannon. When she learned this method, she said, "I feel more energized on the daily. Goodbye afternoon slumps. I'm grateful for Jenna for walking me through the fundamentals of healthy, simple food habits. I will use the information I learned for decades to come. This program is for everyone. I can't recommend it enough." And then there's Sarah, who after finishing my program said, "Jenna dispelled so many nutrition myths that I didn't know I was holding on to. I'm not kidding when I say it was one of the best things I've ever done for myself, and I feel set up for life." My next case study could be you. So I want to go back and make sure that you realize who this is for. This is for women that just want to feel better. This is for women that either know a lot about nutrition or know nothing about nutrition and are just looking for a new sustainable way of eating that really gets your body metabolically flexible and back to feeling your best. Now, you might be sitting there thinking that this might not work for you because maybe you're not sure you'd be able to stick to it and you don't want to fail at another diet. I want to assure you that this is not a diet. We don't restrict or cut out any food. We actually instead focus on adding nourishing food to your plate and rearranging other food in a way that really helps your body become metabolically flexible. Maybe you're thinking, "I'm not big on cooking and I don't have a lot of time to cook." Well, the meal plans and the recipes in this course are as easy as it gets. I teach you how to make breakfast in less than 5 minutes and how to batch cook dinners so that you always have leftovers for lunch. And each dinner recipe was designed to take you only 15 to 30 minutes or less. Plus, there's always room for your favorite takeout once in a while. Or maybe you're thinking, "I want to do this, but I cook for my family and I don't know if they'll get on board." Well, I help women become metabolically flexible, but becoming metabolically flexible is actually our natural state of being for all humans. So this supports every single human of all genders and ages. And this is actually something that you can do with your entire family to support everyone's metabolic health. Or maybe you're thinking, "I'm really busy and I don't know if I can commit to this." Well, I specifically designed this course with busy women in mind. So one module per week should take you no more than 45 minutes. And the fact that you'll feel better and have more energy by implementing what you learned throughout this course will actually make you more productive and save you time in the long run. Now, when you sign up, you're going to get instant access to 10 modules that take you step by step, one nutrition habit at a time, and between 5 to 6 hours of video lessons. So that's a total value of $2,045. But don't worry, just keep watching because I believe in this method so much, and I believe in sharing my passion so much that I am making this as accessible as possible. Now, as part of this package, you're also going to get a supplement education guide. Now, when it comes to supporting and nourishing your body, you'll be able to get rid of that guessing game of what should I take and when to take it because you will have this guide. I'm throwing in a protein guide and a protein tracker as well. And when you have this tool, you will know exactly what and how much to eat to support your metabolic health. But what groceries do you need to buy and what meals should you make and how can you feed not only yourself to get all these benefits, but also your partner and your family because the health of your loved ones is everything. I hear you. This course actually includes an entire grocery guide that gives you lists of some of my absolute favorite and most metabolically supportive food. And it breaks down the timing of carbohydrates between the first half of the day and the second half of the day, depending on what fuel your body's burning as you become metabolically flexible and really start feeling all of the benefits of that. Now, as part of this package, you're also getting 2 metabolic flexibility meal plans. So that actually has a total of 56 different recipes, meaning you'll know exactly what to cook, and everything is designed to be time efficient and take 15 to 30 minutes or less. Now, with these guides and meal plans, along with the 10 modules and video lessons, it is a total of $2,325. But there is lots more. So when I was first figuring out the world of metabolic flexibility, I actually ran into a big roadblock. I didn't know what to eat for breakfast. And breakfast is arguably the most important meal to master when it comes to getting into metabolic flexibility through my non-restriction method. So I had to create a breakfast guide for myself. And what I did was I actually spent years experimenting with myself and the way that I felt after certain breakfasts. And I spent months researching specific fiber sources and what specific fat sources to include and what was most beneficial and what top quality proteins should I have to really figure out an efficient way to become metabolically flexible. But I don't want you to have to recreate the wheel here. So I've already put together a smoothie ebook and a breakfast recipe ebook that I'm introducing in this course for you. Now, when you use these recipes, not only are you saving yourself so much time and money that I spent developing it, but you also save what could have been months or years of wasted time and money on different proteins and fibers and fats and what works and what doesn't work for breakfast to get into this state of metabolic flexibility, because you will actually be doing it right the first time. There's no trial and error period. So here's what you're getting now. You're getting the 10 modules, the video lessons, the supplement guide, protein guides, grocery guides, 2 meal plans, plus my smoothie ebook and a breakfast recipe ebook. And together with these tools, you'll know exactly what to eat in the mornings to become metabolically flexible. Now, together, this has a total value of $2,425. Now, there are actually a lot more handouts and guides as well in this course, but I just want to be mindful of your time and I don't want to overwhelm you all at once. But there's one more thing I want to tell you about. So when you join today, you are also going to get access to my private Facebook group, which will help you stay accountable by being part of a community. So when I first started this journey, I did it all alone, and it was definitely lonely, and it probably took me a lot longer to achieve because I was doing it without support or anyone cheering me on. But you won't have to, because you will be part of a community of women that are all leveling up their metabolic health together. And this is where the fun stuff goes down. So these women are taking control of their health. They're nourishing their bodies. They're spreading love and sparkles wherever they go. They're choosing to feel good. They're vibrating higher. They're supporting other women and changing the world. Now, this group is going to make it faster and easier for you to achieve results because you're not doing it alone. You've actually got a whole community of women cheering you on every step of the way. And this is what this community is all about, because when you feel good, anything is possible. So now here is what you're getting in this course with a total value of $2,525. Now, I want this course to be as financially accessible as possible, so I'm not going to charge you that. But if this course was $2,525 and all it did was teach you how to eat in a way that made you feel really good, would that be worth it to you? And if all it did was teach you how to become metabolically flexible and full of energy, would that be worth it? And what if all it did was teach you how to continue to eat all the food that you love in a no restriction way and still support your metabolic health? Would that be worth it? Now, I truly believe this is information that every single woman can benefit from in some way, and I am so passionate about teaching this new opportunity because it can make such a huge difference in the lives of so many people. So I'm giving away this course for $297. Now, this course is yours for life, and one habit at a time will give you everything you need to know to improve your metabolic health and really become metabolically flexible through food and nourishment. Now, let me put this into perspective for you. You could hire a nutritionist like me to work one-on-one with through a program like this, and it might cost around $1,000 to $2,000. But because you'll be learning how to do it yourself with my help every step of the way, and I give you all the tools and resources you need to succeed, you're only paying $297. And all you have to do is click the link below to sign up. Now, this is the price of just a few of the bonuses alone, but you are getting the entire course for this price. And I want to paint a picture of where I was before I discovered the world of becoming metabolically flexible. I struggled with my health and not knowing what to eat to support my body. And I thought I knew a little bit about nutrition, to be honest, but I still didn't feel good and I was tired all the time. Does that sound familiar? But now I want you to get a vision of what life could be like. And ever since I became metabolically flexible, I've been able to reignite that metabolic fire inside of me and really get back to this place where I wake up feeling great in the morning with sustained energy all day long. My PCOS symptoms went away, and I am now so in tune with my body's nutrition needs and how to best support myself. Can you imagine what that might be like? Now, at this point, you have two choices. Habits are really hard to change or implement, and it's so easy to continue to just do what we've always done. Now, your first choice is to take what I've taught you in this webinar and try to implement it yourself. But remember, if you want to have different results than what you've always gotten, you need to try something new. Your second choice is to jump into this course. And if you want real lasting change, let me take you step by step through this method to build successful habits and become metabolically flexible. Even if you only went through the first half of this course, it will pay for itself as soon as you start to feel better. Now, if you are ready to get back to feeling your best, click the link below to get immediate access to this course and start right now. And once you've been through this course, you are set up for life. And you can say goodbye to the stress of what should I eat? And you'll never have to worry about trying another diet or fad ever again. Can you imagine what life would be like when those things have instantly disappeared from your life? What will you do with all of your extra time and all of your extra energy? You can start today and in just a few weeks already feel the benefits of your new nourished life. Now, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions at all, please reach out to me and I'd be happy to help. I hope you have a great rest of your day.